It is your Wednesday daily delivery. I am Michael Rand. Glad to be back for another day. Hope you guys are having a good one out there as well. As good as you could possibly have in light of how the Wolves game went Tuesday night. They lose 112-97 to Denver in Denver. Nuggets now up 3-2 in the series. Feels like forever ago, even if it was just 5 or so days ago, that the Wolves were up 2-0 in this series, and everyone was saying series over. Series will be over tomorrow if the Wolves can't find something new, find a new solution for Nikola Jokic, who had 40 points last night, find a way to get Anthony Edwards unglued from 2 or 3 Denver defenders. It seems like Denver doesn't respect a lot of the other players on the court offensively for the Wolves, especially when the starters are out there. So some issues to sort through for the Wolves before Game 6. Mike Conley Jr.'s health, a big question too. He missed Game 5. Will he be ready for Game 6? We'll have to see about that. Chip Scoggins and I will talk a lot about Game 5 and set up Game 6 here in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Also have a Vikings schedule note already Wednesday morning. We'll find out the full schedule later Wednesday, but we have one Vikings schedule tidbit that has already come to light on Wednesday morning. We'll get to that at the end of the show. Little Twins, Lynx win their opener. First, though, what did I miss? It has been a little over 2 weeks now since Comcast dropped Bally Sports channels across the country, which of course includes Bally Sports North, which of course has impacted viewers' ability to watch the Twins, in particular. The Lynx, too. I saw Tuesday that Bally Sports has put out a new streaming package, a discounted streaming package for their standalone product aimed directly at Lynx fans, but Twins still not on that, kind of standalone deal that Bally does. They don't have the streaming rights to the Twins in terms of the standalone app, the $20 a month standalone app. So if you have Comcast and you had Bally Sports North, all of a sudden you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? And different people are responding different ways. We've talked about that. Some people are trying the free trial of Fubo TV. Some people are, switching right away and finding a different carrier. That's difficult, though, especially with fees, contracts, things like that, plus, learning an entirely new system. Some people are waiting and seeing. Some people are just tuning it out. Some people are dropping Comcast and not looking back. So a lot of different ways to deal with this. It's not been resolved, though. 2 weeks, it's kind of been radio silence. A lot of the Comcast was eager to kind of get their story out there initially. Bally Sports North was certainly eager to get their side of things out there. Now it seems to be radio silence from those two sides. Reached out to Comcast earlier this week, said, hey, anything new here? Spokesman said, nothing new to report. I'll let you know if something changes. So no change to the status quo from those sides. But Major League Baseball has entered the chat. They filed a motion. Major League Baseball files a motion Wednesday ahead of what is now suddenly a key hearing today in bankruptcy court. Major League Baseball basically saying in this motion that this Comcast situation with Diamond Sports basically makes their whole reorganization plan, their whole plan to emerge from bankruptcy, highly unlikely, essentially, that they don't think that this plan is feasible anymore. So they filed a motion on Wednesday. The key quote from this, reading from a good piece from Awful Announcing, said, these Chapter 11 cases now hang by the thinnest of threads. Unless Comcast and the debtors, which means Diamond Sports, can come to a new agreement, it is highly unlikely that the loss of carriage of the debtors' broadcast by Comcast and the resulting loss of licensing fees from Comcast will render the plan unconfirmable, thereby wasting time and estate resources to the detriment of MLB, the signatory clubs, and other interested parties. Story goes on to assert, and I think I've seen this elsewhere, 81% of Diamond Sports revenues come from 3 cable distributors, DirecTV, Charter, and Comcast. Now, DirecTV, satellite, so kind of lumping cable and satellite into one bucket here. But DirecTV, Charter, and Comcast, if they account for 81% of Diamond Sports revenues, and you're taking one of those out of the mix right now, that's a pretty big deal. You have to imagine that's 25, 30% of their revenue, depending on how much of that is directly Comcast, but they were the second largest cable carrier last year, almost 14 million subscribers. Now, Diamond Sports does have new deals with DirecTV and Charter, This story, though, notes that Major League Baseball says the economics of those renewals, reading directly from the story, have not been shared, Major League Baseball argues, so it's not possible to gauge whether they helped or hurt the restructuring effort. So basically, Major League Baseball is saying, hey, this plan you have is all well and good. You've got this deal with Amazon to give you some money for direct-to-consumer stuff. If you don't have Comcast, none of this is going to happen because you don't have the money, Lebowski. You don't have the money. So, interesting that it's come to this, but basically they're saying it's difficult to imagine how confirmation can proceed on the current schedule. Major League Baseball basically going frontal on this ahead of this hearing today, 2 p.m. We will see what comes of that. It could just be procedural, might not be much of anything. Major League Baseball certainly has a vested interest in this side of the story. They're frustrated beyond belief, I'm sure, with how this is going. They released like 12 in their motion. They list 11 moments fans missed if they had Comcast because of all of that's happening. And kind of mentioning all the teams that are impacted, including the Twins, extending their winning streak to 12 games. So it's getting a little bit more personal now, but also you can see the impact of the Comcast situation. I've been told for a long time that it would be hard for Diamond Sports to exist without all of these major carriers. So now we're kind of seeing Major League Baseball pointing that out in court, in a motion in court, and kind of getting out in front of this hearing and saying, "Hey, I don't think this is doable. I don't think this is feasible. We will see if judges agree. We will see how the plan proceeds. But if you are of the mind that you would like to see something new by 2025, or perhaps even a little bit earlier, this could be the start of it, especially if the court agrees that without Comcast, without any kind of agreement between Comcast and Diamond Sports, without any reasonable agreement with all these people, that this bankruptcy plan, this plan to emerge from bankruptcy, is not going to happen, and they might have to liquidate, which was the original plan a few months ago, that they would have to liquidate after 2024, and there will be something else in 2025. So again, watch for what comes from that hearing today, and then a big date in June where we find out if this whole reorganization plan gets confirmed or not. So just another step in the road, but Major League Baseball definitely stepping up right now, kind of forcing the issue. We'll see what happens today. Maybe you didn't necessarily miss watching the Twins on Tuesday. They lose 5-1 to the Yankees. First game of that series. Twins had won 17 of their last 20. Saw a mind-boggling stat that in their last 162 games against the Yankees, counting regular season and playoffs, Yankees are 118-44 against the Twins. That's a full season of butt kickings by the Yankees over the Twins. It doesn't seem to matter how good the Twins are, how much of a roll they're on, what the Yankees look like, although the Yankees are usually awfully good. When these two teams meet, it usually does not go the Twins' way. Now, Chris Paddock got roughed up pretty good. Ryan Jeffers solo homer, but that was all the offense for the Twins. We will see if they can do more tonight. Pablo Lopez should be another beautiful night at Target Field. We'll see what kind of attendance they get for this series. Announced for the opener, 23,805. Not too bad, especially for a midweek game, but beautiful night, big-time opponent. Might want to draw 25-30 in games like that, not 23-8. So watch the Twins' attendance. Royce is always on that. Watch the Twins' attendance as the year goes on. Lynx win their opener, 83-70 over Seattle. A lot of their newcomers paying immediate dividends for the Lynx. Alana Smith had a career-high 22 points. Really turned it on in the second half. The Lynx did. They were down in the third, but came up big in the second half. Came away with that win in their opener. Home opener Friday, also against Seattle. So that will be a rematch. But right now, off to a very good start. The Lynx are, and maybe have a better supporting cast right now for Nafisa Collier than they have had in previous years. Chip Scoggins, Star Tribune columnist, joins me right now to talk Timberwolves Game 5, 112-97 loss at Denver. Chip, a lot of storylines in this game, but I think we would both agree the number one storyline is just Nikola Jokic, the three-time MVP, was I don't know if I've ever seen him as good. I'm sure he's been as good, but man, 40 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds. Anytime the Wolves got anything going in that pivotal game 5, he had an answer. They couldn't stop him.
No, he showed why he is the best player in the world. That third quarter was as good as you're going to see an NBA player play and have as much of an impact as one player could have. And we said it the other night, I think a lot of us wrote it too, that when Ant went for 44, but he didn't get much help, hey, one guy can't do it all. I felt like, and Joker got some help today, but that was a one-man wrecking crew. The Wolves came out after just a really uneven, poorly played second quarter. They have that brief spurt there, take the lead by one. Denver calls a timeout, and it's like Joker said, all right, you can't stop me. There's nothing you can do. And it's interesting, the strategy, they try to just man him up instead of doubling, and it really is pick your poison, because even when you double him, I think he's good enough to score, but he's going to find, and he still got double digit assists tonight, 13 assists. So I don't know what you do. I think at this point I would just send everybody at him, and if Michael Porter Jr., who I thought was awful tonight, I didn't think Jamal Murray was very good. I didn't think he made everybody so much better, but it wasn't like those guys went off. I would make them beat me. I would not let him do this again, because if you try to single cover him with Gobert or Towns or whoever, it's just not going to work. And it is amazing, as great as, we all said Gobert is defensively, 4-time defensive player of the year, he has no chance against Joker. No. He's just too crafty.
Yeah, he is. And he's, like you said, he had 13 assists still, so he's finding Gordon. Aaron Gordon's had a good series.
He's had a great series.
7 of 14, 18 points. He was good defensively. He's impacting the game. You're right. Porter Jr. was not good. Murray was okay, but yeah, he's clearly not quite himself yet, but they got contributions from
Brown.
KCP had a good game for Denver.
Yeah, KCP had 3 threes.
They had 4, and then
4 threes.
Braun hit 4. Hit a couple buckets. He was pretty good in that game too. So they're getting contributions outside of Jokic, but yeah, he's just dictating everything. Anytime they got within, they took the lead there, but then he got that run. Like anytime they seemed like they were nibbling back within 8 or 10, he would do something, and all of a sudden it was back up to 13. 15 again. Now the pregame storyline is all of a sudden no Mike Conley Jr. Sounds like he hurt his Achilles. Something happened with his Achilles towards the end of game 4. They obviously miss him. He's not one of the big 3, but he's kind of the glue that holds this together. The composure when you need a basket, when you need something good to happen, he'll get you a shot or he'll make a shot. So they definitely miss him in that game. But I don't know. I don't even know if they win that game if Conley plays. It's just the way that Denver is rolling right now.
Yeah, no, I thought the first half of the second quarter particularly was just chaotic offensively. Now, I thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker came in. He had a nice first half, and he had 3 threes that helped him. But when you look at it looked frantic, them trying to run their offense. And the big thing that the Wolves have to figure out is Denver – Michael Malone has made some really great adjustments and tonight they were going to double Ant every time. They were running guys at him, and he just looked flustered by it. He looked tentative. He looked indecisive, when to drive, when to try to get his shot. It bothered him, and they just don't have enough scoring right now. Jay McDaniels is lost offensively. He can't make an open shot. Kyle Anderson, I don't know what he's bringing you at all.
Yeah,
Towns had a couple moments, but then he went back to the driving and flailing again, and so it's just not consistent with him. And since he's come back, he's had these kind of spurts where he'll score 9 points real quick, 10 points quick. And I thought he was starting to do that there in the start of the second half. He had one in the first half, and I thought start of the second half we're going to see that, but then it just doesn't sustain it. And so they just, they have to figure out for game 6 how they're going to try to get Ant free. Because how many points did he wind up with? Maybe 11, something like that. He had a couple layups.
He finished with 18. I mean, he.
It didn't feel like that at all.
No, it didn't. It didn't. If he was stuck on 11 or 13 for the longest time. He
got some late. Yeah,
he just looked tired. He looked tired, and he looked like, give me some help. And he also didn't necessarily adjust to the game. But like everywhere he was going, there was 2 guys there all night.
That's the thing. I mean, you're talking about, he did everything in his power 48 hours earlier to try to win a game, and he carried that team. And you can't tell me, I know he's 22, but maybe some of that started to show. And if you watch tonight, he did a lot of the guarding on Jamal Murray and expended a lot of energy there. So I just wonder if it was a combination of still being a little bit fatigued from the other night and trying to carry that team, and also just that the defensive looks they threw at him just really threw him out of sorts, and they didn't have an answer for that at all.
Towns' stat line was fine, 10 of 19, 23 points, but you're right. It felt like he's complimentary right now, but he's still not like able to take over a game. He's never been like a great like initiated. He still needs some help. He still needs to get it in his spot, stuff like that. He's a streaky player, gets in those modes where he tries to do too much. He'll pick up those cheap offensive fouls. Like, he wasn't the problem tonight, but the problem, like you said, is that outside of Ant right now, and this has been a problem at various points in the season, it's less so when Conley makes shots, it's less so when he's out there running the offense, but like, they really only have like one bona fide perimeter threat, and that's Ant. And their starting lineup right now is, kind of with Nickeil Alexander-Walker in there. I know he can make shots, but it's basically 3 guys whose games are built more around defense than offense, and that puts a lot of pressure on Edwards.
Yeah, and that's where I think Jaden shooting has really become a problem, because they're just leaving him open and letting him shoot, and he just can't make them. So that's the problem, because you're not going to, Rudy's just going to be dunks.
Right.
And, the Nuggets don't really have that rim protector. I mean, we saw Jokic here in game 4. If Ant ever attacked, a lot of times he would just kind of back out of the way and let him shoot the layup. So it's not like, when the shots aren't falling, you like to see him attack more, but Ant can't get there because they're double teaming him. Cat tends to be out of control or wild when he's doing it. And so I don't know. When you look at their offense, I mean, it just looks, particularly without Conley in there, the whole thing just felt chaotic to me. Like they didn't have an answer for how Ant was being guarded. But we can say all that, but the other team has jokers and you don't. And he's just so much better than everybody else on the court. I mean, the way he can control a game, I always say it's like a puppet. He has, I mean, it's his passing, it's his initiating, the way he brings the ball down the court. There in that third quarter, it felt like he scored every time down the court. I mean, it was just like he was going in and shooting layups. He was just brilliant.
And their defense got a little loose there in the third quarter. They get tired. They get kind of, they get down on themselves, things like that. But Jokic doing this in these last few games, getting them to this 3-2 lead after they were down 2-0, is a reminder of just how disrespectful the series is over narrative was.
Yeah.
Like, would you have ever said that about like LeBron James? Like let's say LeBron James has a team down 2-0, like any other 3-time MVP. Well, who would you say that about? Why were they saying this about Denver?
Yeah, it's. I think game 1 for them wasn't so bad. Game 2 is just
sure.
And I don't know if it was one of those things where it just snowballed in one of those
seemed like
games where but the Wolves were so good, and we thought they're just imposing their will, and maybe it was just a really bad game by Denver that they they kind of got punched and didn't respond back. But when you have that guy on your team, and you have guys that have won a championship and have gone through some really tough series, we probably should have known better than to say this thing's over. And so, I think the disappointment will be now when you look back at that game 3, when you have this town on fire and that building and everything, and then and guys are afterwards saying we didn't have energy, we didn't have. That's I think that's the disappointment. When game 4 they played better. It's just Jokic was better than tonight. He was not going to lose, and so I am curious to see. I mean, this is going to be a long 48 hours for Chris Finch and his staff, because they have to figure out, one, what are you going to do when I got to imagine Denver is going to use a similar attack on Edwards because it works so well, and they have to figure out, do you double Jokic more? How are you going to defend him? I think I would just live with everybody else beat me and not him.
Yeah, I think you have to make that adjustment. I mean, basketball is a game of momentum. We know that. Just as it was premature to say Wolves are going to take this after it was 2-0, it's probably premature to say anything else, but I don't love the feeling going into game 6, just the way this is going right now. I know it can turn. Now somebody's won a home game, so it does feel like, you've got this opportunity. Now you come home. Now it's kind of like back in this mode of, pressure is on, but it's a different kind of pressure now. Maybe they play a little bit with a little bit of edge instead of a little bit of tightness. But you're right. What's the adjustment now? How do you adjust on offense? If you don't have Conley again, do you try something different? I mean, Morris hit a few shots tonight, but he's not giving you a ton. Do you try McLaughlin a little bit more like you tried before? Like, what do you do to get the offense unlocked? Because it's pretty stagnant right now.
Well, and if they're going to double Ant like that and just really cut off his drives, I mean, you got to have guys that are going to make shots.
Yeah.
And if Jay McDaniels can't make an open 3 from the corner, I mean, what more can you design? I mean, this is, that's the strategy that Denver's has. They don't trust that Jay McDaniels is going to hit that shot. I mean, he's going to have to just show he can do it. And if he can't, then you're not going to win the series. In terms of what do you do with Jokic, I think you just run. I mean, we saw some of the fouls he was taking. They were definitely trying to wear him down. I mean, and I know fans like to say, "Oh, he gets away with everything." Stop with the officiating on this. And this
that was fine in this game.
Yeah. I mean, but they were fouling him. Gobert had a couple hard fouls on him.
Oh yeah, those are legit.
Nas had a couple of hard fouls on him. So they were going to use their fouls and kind of pound on him, see if they could wear him down. It didn't work. But I think you have to just send bodies at him and hope that Porter continues to miss shots. I think he was 2 or 10 tonight.
Yeah.
Hope KCP doesn't make shots. The risk you run is if Murray gets hot, then you're. I don't know what he shot tonight, but it seemed like he really had to work for his points tonight.
He was 7 of 14. I mean, he was okay, but he was he was quiet. He just was he was in the background like he had.
And some of that was because Jokic was just so great and he was scoring every time. But I felt like they made Murray work. So he didn't get into kind of that flow like we saw when he was when the series was here. So I don't know, but I think I would just putting Gobert on him and letting him back him down in there, that ain't gonna work.
No.
That's not gonna work. We've seen that. So I think I'd try something else.
Luka Garza's got 6 fouls to give. I mean, geez, throw some bodies at him. Honestly, you're right though. I think you're at a point now where you can't just say, okay, we're gonna play this straight up anymore. I know it's been a pretty good strategy. I know that's what they like to do. I know that's their preference, but I don't think you can go, if you're going to go down, make someone else beat you. Make it be somebody else. Don't let the 3-time MVP have one-on-ones. You look at what they're doing to Ant. Look at what they're doing to Ant. I know different point of attack. It's a little easier to double there and then scramble and recover, things like that. But and Ant's not the same level of passer as Jokic, but you can't let Jokic beat you all night. And you live with it if you're right. You live with it if Porter gets hot. You live with it if Aaron Gordon keeps having a great series. You're like, hey, sometimes other guys are just going to make shots. Denver made a lot of shots tonight. I mean, there's an element to that too. It's like sometimes a team just makes a lot of shots, but Denver is the better team right now. I think it feels like the Wolves, at this point, just aren't quite ready, right? They're not quite there. You see the value of a 3-time MVP, but also this team that's been together for 5 or 6 playoff runs now.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you go back to game 4 here. Well, game 3, I thought Murray got going, and then game 4, Gordon goes for 27.
Yeah,
and Murray
doesn't
had
miss
17.
A shot till late. Yeah,
he doesn't miss a shot. And then tonight you saw KCP hit 4 threes. Not only there's 2 superstars in this series.
Yeah,
and Denver obviously has the best one, and Ants until tonight has played, has tried to carry a team, but he's at a different level than everyone else. But their supporting cast has just been better.
Yeah.
Gordon's outplayed Towns.
Yeah.
And Murray's night was quiet, but in games 3 and 4, I felt like he, got his offense going. And so the Wolves have not gotten that consistently the last 3 games. They just haven't had that other guy or the other 2 guys step up and really provide what Denver's getting from their supporting cast.
Royal Credit Union's Smart Checking accounts offer no monthly fees and no minimum balance. Enjoy financial freedom when you open your Royal Credit Union Smart Checking account online at rcu.org/go-checking. Insured by NCUA.
Last thing, Chip, let's play this out just a little bit, not to be negative, but let's just say for the sake of argument, Denver wins in 6 or even 7. Let's say the Wolves win game 6, but Denver wins the final one back in Denver. What is this postseason to this point told you about this roster? Obviously they're at a point where they're going to have some decisions to make. Do they like this enough to keep it together, to keep going with it? Do they feel like they need to make minor tweaks, more major moves? Like, how do you look at this roster and how they've been in the playoffs, where they won their first 6 games, but now they've lost 3 in a row?
Yeah. It's I think Denver's the best team. If they win this, I thought the winner of the series would win. Go on to win. I think if Denver wins, if they win the
win the West,
they win the West. I think they beat Boston too. So you have to say, you have to factor that into the calculus, right? Yeah. Take away tonight, but I think we've seen tremendous growth from Anthony Edwards in his playoffs. To me, it's when you look at and this is what it came down to. What I thought when they started this playoff thing is this was going to tell the owners which way they went, because they're going to be, you talk about the salary cap and luxury tax and all that. And if you're going to pay that, you need to feel like you're contending, or you're, if you're not winning championships, you're on the path there, or you're close.
Right.
And so does it help you if you got eliminated by the back-to-back NBA champion? Yeah. Or do you say, you know what? We got some expensive pieces here. We have to move on from somebody, because as long as Jokic is on in Denver, this is going to be, you're going to have to go through them. So it's going to be, we'll see how this plays out. It's not over, so you don't have to make that,
no.
It's a little premature, but yeah, it's there's some things that you've seen so far that you like, I think, from it, and but man, you watch this game tonight, and I think we've all had appreciation for Jokic, but also how well Tim Conley constructed that team.
Yeah.
The pieces that they have, the way that team plays together. They play so well together. And that's, a large part of that's because the way Joker passes the ball and draws so much attention. He just makes everybody better, and they have the right pieces around him. So we'll see what, the Wolves, I'm sure they got to pick themselves up off the mat here and respond in 48 hours for game 6. Because this is a tough one. You look at the way they played offensively, and how, I keep using the word chaotic. That's just the way it felt to me. But that felt surgical, the way Denver played tonight.
Yeah, the Wolves got to get that energy back, whatever mojo they had, whatever that feeling was in game 1 and game 2, and when they were playing the Suns, like whatever it was, that edge where they felt like they were the better team. They got to find that, or else it's going to be over. But hey, game 6 back at Target Center. We'll see how it goes Thursday. Chip Scoggins, appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
Great stuff from Chip. Appreciate him staying up late with me on Tuesday to bring this to you early Wednesday. The Wolves just don't look like they have a lot of answers right now, do they? It feels like the series has completely turned from where it was, just a few days ago, right? The Wolves were on top of the world. The national media was Wolves this, Wolves that, on to the conference finals. This team looked like an NBA Finals contender. Now you see the difference, though. Now you see the difference between a team that's been there, a team that's done that. That is Denver. They got up off the mat, walloped the Wolves in Game 3, took Minnesota's better punch in Game 4 and won that game, and then looked like the classier, better team in Game 5. What do the Wolves have left in the tank now? What can they do? Can they at least get this to a Game 7 when anything is possible? A hot shooting night, get that mojo back, get the defense back. Can they find something in Game 6, or is this going to be, a quick reversal? 6 in a row wins to start the postseason. If they go out with 4 losses in a row, that would be disappointing. You would still take, the journey. You would still say, hey, this team took a step, but from where they were just a few days ago, that would be a disappointment. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out on Thursday night. Let us finish with the cooler. Full Viking schedule coming out later today. Ben Gessling and I will do an Access Vikings podcast Thursday morning to break it all down. We do know, though, that the Vikings are playing the Jets in London. That replaces a home game for the Vikings this season. Bummer, because you might remember Aaron Rodgers now plays for the Jets. You won't get a chance to see Aaron Rodgers at US Bank Stadium again. Of course, trying to come back from that Achilles. So we'll see where that all goes with the rest of the schedule tonight. But Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets playing the Vikings in London next season. That will do it for me today. Plenty of good stuff coming up later this week. We'll see how this whole Diamond Sports hearing goes. We'll see how Twins versus Yankees go today. We'll see how the Wolves do tomorrow. Lots of good stuff coming up. Until then, I am Michael Rand, back at it again tomorrow.